Now that we have a div in place and we can actually see that div, we can now start properly addressing the various properties that make up the CSS box model. And earlier I said that there were three primary ones. There's padding, there's border, and there's also margin. There's a few others in there as well, but those are the three primary ones. So I want to address the first one right now, padding. And don't forget, padding is the space on the inside of your rectangular object, in this case, a div. So what we're going to be doing essentially is increasing the space between the top of our text here, St. Lawrence Market, and the top edge of the blue rectangle. So this gap of space right in there. So we can change that on the top, on the bottom, on the right-hand side, and also way over on the left-hand side as well. So let's go and take a look here. Flip over to my code. I hope this makes sense, and this might be a bit of a brain twister for you, but what I would not do is I would not go after the bulleted list. I would not go after the div itself that contains the bulleted list. Instead, what I would do is I would go after the CSS rule that is controlling that content, bulleted list, that ID selector that I created earlier. So I'm going to go after that guy. I'm going to go and find him inside my internal style sheet. And it's here where I would start adding on padding values, padding properties. Now, there's a couple of different ways to do this. Let me show you a couple of neat techniques here. So I mentioned that we have padding top, padding bottom, padding right, and padding left. So what I could do is I could do something like this, padding dash top, full colon space, and then I could throw in some kind of a value, any kind of value really. So I'm going to throw in something fairly large so that we can see it. I'm going to go with 20 pixels, 20 px, followed by a semicolon. So that's going to give me a gap of space or a padding value for the top of 20 pixels. I'll go ahead and save this guy and flip back over to the browser and refresh. And there we go. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So this gap of space here above St. Lawrence Market and the top edge of the rectangular div, that's what padding is. That's that padding top, okay? What we can do here is we can go padding dash top, and as you might guess, we can also go padding dash bottom, something like this, and then maybe I could throw in some other kind of a value, whatever my layout calls for, maybe 15 pixels, something like this, and then back over to the browser and refresh. There we go. So this is the space on the inside. That's what padding is, right? And now we can actually see a visual representation of that space, right? And of course, I could continue on here, padding dash left. Maybe I'll throw in something fairly large so we can see a change here, 100 pixels. And I could also do padding right, but because my content is so small, we're not really going to see a change here. I'll throw in 50 pixels for padding right and save that up. And then back over to the browser and refresh. There we go. So now I have a gap of 100 pixels on the left-hand side of my object. You could think of this, by the way, when I first started working with padding, I was having a bit of a tough time. And then I realized I was very comfortable working with tables, not only in HTML, but also in various word processing applications. And all these different areas, when we're working with tables, we have something called cell padding. I'm sure you know what that is. This is exactly what padding is it's giving us this cell padding. Imagine this is one massive table cell, and we can control the space inside that cell. What I've done here is I've used what's referred to as longhand, or CSS longhand. And as you can see here, I have padding dash top, padding dash bottom, padding dash left, padding dash right. Now, what I can do is I can actually start making use of what's referred to as CSS shorthand. I can achieve the same result by using less code. So there's actually a couple of different ways that I could do this. I'm going to get rid of all of my padding values here. And I'm going to go all the way down to just padding, just like this. Now, what I could do is I could say padding, full colon space, and I could say 50 pixels, something like this. And then I'll save that guy and then refresh. And what that's done is that's giving me 50 pixels of spacing or 50 pixels of padding around all four sides, top, bottom, the right-hand side, even though I can't see it, and also on the left-hand side. So that's kind of cool. And it's using a lot less code, as you can see. Or what I could do is if I want different values on all four sides, I could actually specify 4 different values after padding. So I'd go padding full colon space and then 50 pixels and then maybe I'll go 50 pixels again, and then I'll go 100 pixels, and then maybe I'll go 45 pixels, something like this. Now, how this works is, well, first of all, notice too that the semicolon is only on the last property, the last value, I should say, because this is all one CSS property here. So how it works is the first value is the top, then we have right, then we have the bottom, and then we have the left. I think of a clock face, by the way, when I try and remember this. So 12 o'clock, top, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. I don't know how I came up with that, but anyway, it works for me. That's how it works. Okay, save everything up, and then back over to my browser and refresh, and there's the values now applied to the div. So 50 on the top, 50 on the right, 100 on the bottom, I think is what I used. Yep. And then 45 over on the left. So there you go. There's your padding. There's a bunch of different ways to apply it. Maybe I only want padding on one side, in which case I'd have to specify that side by going padding dash top or padding dash bottom or what have you. Or you just saw I could specify all four sides using some shorthand, just like this. So there you go. There's your padding, the space on the inside of your object.